Welcome back. And as typical Swedes, we like to start precisely on the time that we said that we are starting. So welcome back. It's very nice to see you all back here, and we don't have to be as formal the rest of the day. So I hope you enjoy some coffee break. It wasn't a typical Swedish fika today, but I know that in the conference you will get a chance to get a typical Swedish fika. I think it is tomorrow. And with that said, I also hope that you mingled with someone that you don't meet every day, because that's the reason why we have these a little bit longer coffee breaks and a little bit longer lunches, so that you do speak with all the experts around in the room and you get a chance to meet a lot of people that knows a lot about things that maybe you don't know anything about, but they do. And I just blown away by Randy's speech for the GSTC. I think it's amazing what we and you do together for the world and for a better planet for the future. So I'm so glad that I got a chance to listen to you today. And now we are going to listen to our keynote speaker. Between 2006 and 2014, he was the Prime Minister of Sweden. He is now active and as an advisor and a variety of community engagement. He is participating here today in his role as the chairman of the board of Visita. Visita is a part of the Confederation of Swedish Enterprise, which is Sweden's largest business federation. A warm welcome to Fredrik Reinfeldt.
Thank you. Thank you. Warmly welcome to Sweden. And you heard the word warmly. I want to make this very clear, that what your experience outside of this house is what we in Sweden call spring. We are very happy. It's so warm. Yes? 8 degrees, I mean, you need sunglasses. Well, this is the start of the fantastic period in this country where we come out of our caves, out of the winter, out of the cold, and we just love the sun and we love everyone. So these are the months for Romans, for everything. It's a fantastic period. I'm so glad that you have come to Sweden, a small, medium-sized country in the northern part of our globe, not very well known to everyone. This is a quite disturbing factor for a lot of Swedes. They always ask me, what do they say about us? And I say, basically nothing. Oh, that's very disturbing, yes. As you understand, we are a constitutional monarchy. We thought it was normal only to have male kings, and we have had so for just some exemptions for now 500 years. But since you had the crown princess here, you are now facing our future, the shift we will have to queens as head of state with the crown prince and her daughter after that. That kind of change is very interesting. We like to think that we are the most normal people on earth. Yes, we are so normal that we call ourselves the land of the middle milk. That means not too much fat, not too little. That's our view of ourselves. We think everyone is fine, but we are most normal. And the problem with that is that we kind of get facts that speak in another direction. Well, the fact that the most common way to actually live in this country is a single household. Not so normal all over the world, but we think everyone is doing like exactly that. We are very secular, as you might also know. And of course, in this world of geopolitical tensions, we are also this typical curiosity-driven, small-sized country who actually ask questions, what happens around the world with our export industries, with our traveling. And I think that's a recipe for the future, because let's be clear that these are very troublesome times. we have the geopolitical situation, we have polarization in our different societies, growing differences. We have also a kind of shift away from a global order, which we seem everyone like to follow, into some kind of fractioning with a lot of tensions between major forces in the world. On top of that, nation-first perspective, we and them thinking. It seems also with the pandemic that the idea was to live very close to yourself, your family, hopefully not meet anyone else. Don't get any perspective unless it's absolutely local, here where I am and nothing else. Is that a problem? Yes. Why? Because we get narrow-sighted. We think the only normal, as us Swedes, the only normal are us. The rest are very different from me, and that's potentially not so good. That's the risk. That's where we have been heading with the world, and of course, as long as this continues, we must ask ourselves, what could stand against? How do we get to get contact between people? How do we create a kind of tolerance in the world? That's why I engaged myself after many years in politics in the hospitality sector. That's the antidote. There's actually part of the solution. I can also say I'm trying another leg. I also chair of the Swedish Football Association. That's a very interesting story. We skip that. But it has kind of the same idea that we should meet cross-border from different parts of the world, engage ourselves in something together, and by doing so, understanding each other better. When it comes to the hospitality industry, it's a kind of example in itself of inclusiveness and how you create a better society. We have 200,000 people in our hospitality sector in Sweden. That's a huge portion of our labor market, and it stands out in two different directions. One third of people under the age of 26 are employed in the hospitality sector, when it's much lower when you look at the total population. So we are a real engine for getting young people into the labor market. And the second is when we look at the portion of foreign-born, where we actually in our sector have 40% that are born in other countries that actually work in the hospitality sector. Now, Sweden is a country with a lot of people coming from other parts of the world. More than 20% of our population is of origin from another part of the world, and then I mean really another part of the world. Very often we say, yeah, yes, they come from Finland. That's part of the story, but that's not the full truth. 1% of our population is of origin from Iraq, 1% is of origin from Iraq, 2.5% is from origin from Syria. I could mention Chile, I could mention Southern Europe, Somalia, major parts of the world. They come here, but of course we then discuss how can we include them into the labor market, and the main answer is the hospitality sector. So, in itself, we create the social sustainability that others speak of by doing exactly what more of different labor sectors should do, creating inclusiveness. Also, when it comes to the theme of this conference, which is very important, purpose-driven travel, this is also something that we have been discussing. First of all, if you don't know what Sweden is, you might not wake up in the morning and say, I should, as a tourist, go to Sweden. Because you will probably think, no, I start somewhere else. There are so many resorts, so many countries in the world that get all these tourists coming in with actually not doing that much. That's not the case for us. We really must ask ourselves, what can we do to attract you to come? We can point to our nice weather, yes. Maybe not. So there should be something else. This is very good. We must ask ourselves, how could we get our entrepreneurs to answer to the question, why should you choose to come to Sweden? We need to specialize. We need to be modern. We need to answer to questions that are important to people. When I grow up, my parents always said, it's time for vacation, we will travel to the sun. I understood that we were not traveling to the sun, but to sunlight. And that is a saying in Sweden, have you been to the sun? You know, and that's quite interesting because one of the travel flu that we are now seeing is to travel away from the sun. And believe me, this will be the future. How do we get away from the sun, from the warmth? How do we get to somewhere where it's actually nice to breathe, not so warm? Well, I know the destination. We have just started to see these flows of people coming from Southern Europe to get away from the top heat levels of July and August, and this is probably only the beginning. So another thing, most gather into cities and travel to parts of the world where there are crowded with people. Well, then we said, let's do the other way around. Travel to a part of the world where you will be absolutely alone, or at least not that many people around you. Sweden. Have you seen our geography? We are scarcely populated, concentrated to a few places, and the rest is forest and just nice. So that could also be actually somewhere to go. And we see all of this. Nature travel, to actually go around and look at nature as it is supposed to look, that are environmentally friendly, fresh, with nice air and fresh water. This is the kind of answer that we are seeking. I see a lot of entrepreneurs now putting this together. Path of the future, part of why we should travel to Sweden. We have, of course, also been very proud to see that we are acknowledged as a sustainable travel site. I think actually we have topped this ranking in Europe as the #1 sustainable country, because we discuss this a lot. Traveling, when it's not sustainable enough, creates a lot of waste, a lot of kind of behavior that we would not accept normally, that comes with vacation and traveling. So we have put a lot of pressure on our entrepreneurs, on our different sites, to actually deliver more on sustainability, waste management, and to think about this. Well, that's part of it. We are parting a lot of also of waste of food, which is an extremely important part of creating better sustainability. We have a lot of entrepreneurs who actually make food out of waste food. That sounds terrible, but it's not terrible. It's actually very nice. Food that is soon not to be very good, or just where leftovers are taking into entrepreneurs who create daily menus of what they have been given from others. So they tell me, I don't know what the menu will be, because it will be related to what we get from others. That's a way of showing our interest for this kind of measures. And just to mention, I said that we think this is spring. You should know that we have northern parts of Sweden, above the polar circle. That's a fantastic part of Sweden where the sun never sets in June. I had to experience that because I did my military service 180 years ago in this most northern parts of Sweden, and they made us, run around, and we were very tired. So we asked our officers, when will we stop and get some rest? And they said, when the sun sets. Yeah, that was very nice. That took 2 months. So that's also, that's a fantastic part of Sweden. And a lot of our sustainable work is actually done in the northern part. We will have fossil-free steel, we have fossil-free energy production, a lot of investments. There's talks about actually getting 100,000 people to move to northern parts of Sweden. And we think this will also be a main focus of a kind of travel destination, to look at what happened in this very special part of the world, Arctic Circle, above the polar circle, combining sustainable industry with the hospitality sector. So, To all of you, very happy again that you have chosen Sweden. We think that what we are doing is actually creating the kind of curiosity and tolerance we need in the world. That's what we do with the hospitality sector. You might start by traveling to your neighboring country, then you might try another, maybe longer travel. When you do this, you come to an atmosphere or to a site where you haven't been before. It creates a kind of curiosity. Who lives here? What's their perspective on life? And in meeting people like that, you see the growth of tolerance. People might be different, but they also have very much in common. We should be respected even though we are different, even though we have different faiths, even though we have different governance in our different countries. We need to see it. We need to be there. We need to understand to see this tolerance grow. That's why we need tourism. That's why we need to create sustainable traveling. Sometimes people engaged in environmental causes tell me that we cannot go on traveling like before. It's a kind of discussion between should we stop doing things or should we do it differently? And if we say just stop doing things, for instance, they will say we can't fly to each other. The only way of traveling is train. Well, that will take us to Copenhagen. And that's very nice. But if I have the idea that I want to build tolerance, meaning coming to Asia, coming to Africa, coming to Australia, coming to United States of America, then we need to say we can't stop doing things. We must do it differently, more sustainable, with biofuels, electricity, whatever we now are trying to do to reshape our way of traveling. And we should be very clear on this. The world needs traveling. The world needs hospitality sector. The world needs people meeting each other. And we are the ones making that possible. That's why we are so important. That's why I'm so glad that you're here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Fredrik. And I realize I'm totally normal.
Yeah.
And I think it's very nice that we do get a chance to show the coolcation that we have in Sweden. We are good at coolcation. And it's also very interesting when we say normal, because the Swedish lifestyle is actually something that our target group, why they are traveling to Sweden. One of the 5 things that they are interested in. That's probably why we're so normal.
I think so too.
Do you still tell your family now that you're going to the sun?
Oh yeah, that happens. We are going to the sun. But the question has become, isn't that too warm? So, and I never heard that when I was a young boy. Then it was always, oh, come to a warm sun. Now it is a discussion, isn't it too warm? So I mean, that's climate change, that's our new conditions. Usually we try to Greece, Italy, Spain, and in July and August, with the Swedish perspective, it's now extremely warm for us.
And if you are looking into purposeful travel, you talked a little bit about it.
Yeah.
What does it mean for you as a person?
Well, then I need, for me it's a purpose. It's not just vacation, not just going from one place to another. I'm seeking some answers. I'm seeking something I want to see, something I want to hear, something I want to smell, something I want to taste. So I'm prepared in a way, telling myself that now we move out of my comfort zone. It's not Monday morning, I'm not going to my job. I'm actually going somewhere else, preparing to meet something. That's for me the purpose. And the purpose could be differently. I can go to a big city, I can go to a nature-driven traveling or something else. But the purpose means I have made up my mind together with my family or my children that we are meeting something we want to learn, something that expands our horizon.
Thank you so much, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. All the best.
Tack snälla.